Hart. When and how did you come up with that?
Well, the character, when I started developing the act, going into the bizarre magic, I felt that the character needed to be a little bit sinister. Not outright evil, but a little bit sinister. So quite a powerful character where you could impose your will on the audience, so they might be a bit, oh, that's what's going on here. And I'd always sort of fancied the idea, if I was going to be in films, which I never was, that I'd want to be the villain. You know, if you was in a Dracula film, you'd want to play Dracula. Well, I would anyway. And the character played by the Dracula by Bela Lugosi in the original Dracula film, not Nosferatu, which was earlier and was a rip-off, played by Bela Lugosi, appealed to me. Now, his accent's quite thick in that, and I learned that when he played in the film, he didn't speak English. He was given the lines phonetically and spoken phonetically, so half the time I didn't actually know what he was saying. But that character appealed to me. So that's how it started. And at first, I just played as on normal voice. And then we were doing a lot of do's, functions, corporate stuff and gigs down in London. And there's a lot of prejudice against the Birmingham and Midlands accent in London. It's less so now, but then there was a lot of it. And I'd be, excuse me, performing or talking to people, and you'd hear them saying, "Oh, you come from Birmingham," which wasn't good for the atmosphere. So I was considered then doing an accent. Excuse me. And I tried it out without, not in a live performance. And then one night we were at, I think it was somewhere in Worcester or Oxford way, and they were a company from London, and I thought this is the time to do it. So I spoke to Gordon Astley, our director, and Bill Davison, who was our roadie. And I tried it out and I said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, yeah, go for it." Because the thing was, once I'd started, I'd got to keep it up at least all that evening. So I just took a deep breath and went for it. And I never had any other, "Oh, you're from Birmingham," or anything like that. And it worked. So I stuck with it. Indeed, it was quite funny really, because we'd arrive at a gig, we'd go in, set up, and as soon as I was meeting the people who booked, I had to be that character. I had to be the backstory, which I built up, was that originally, when I first started, I was the son of a Romanian gypsy family. And they'd moved to England to get away from persecution in before the Second World War. So I was then born in this country, so I could have a local accent. But when I took the accent on, I had to move that forward to when Ceausescu was in power in Romania and persecuting the gypsies. And so then, I had to. Obviously I was born in Romania, so I had to speak in the accent. And anyway, so we'd get to the gig, I'd meet the people who booked us, speak to them in the accent and everything. If they asked me where I was from Piona Brasov, just outside Brasov in Romania. In Transylvania actually, because there's Wallachia, Moldavia and Transylvania. Transylvania is from the Latin trans, across, and sylvan, trees. So it's the far side of the wooded area, forests.
It helped that you actually went to Romania, so you at least...
Yes, I did. I actually went to Romania and did some research. Brancastle and all sorts. it was interesting. Castle is billed as Dracula's castle, although it's very tenuous. He was apparently a prisoner there for one night, but it looks perfect anyway. And even afterwards then, we'd be in the bar, have a quick non-alcoholic drink before we were going home, just relaxing a bit, perhaps have something to eat. And I'd keep it up, because I really had to. And I'd be at the bar ordering stuff, and I couldn't quite get the language, and the bar staff would help me out. So, Coca-Cola, yes, So, until we got back in the car to go home, and then I could revert. And quite often when I was doing lectures at magic clubs, I'd go in, I'd do the lecture, and I'd do the performance, which was a magic club. You do the performance, then you do the explanations. And I'd say, afterward, I'd do the performance as the Black Hart, as the Romanian, and then afterwards, when everyone go and have a quick cup of tea and come back, and I'd do the explanations, I'd say I'm going to, in my accent, I'm going to do something really difficult now. I'm going to do the rest of the evening in like an English accent, so you can understand me easier, and then it goes back to normal then. But yeah, it was good fun.
Did the Romanian accent ever get you in trouble?
Well, I was right. I did a gig in Leicester Square. Karen, my eldest daughter, Karenovich, and I were booked to do Tara at a corporate gig, and in Leicester Square, big club in Leicester Square, and the headliners there were Atomic Kitten. So I've been on the bill with Atomic Kitten. And this was just at the time, I didn't really know this because being up in the Midlands, we were a bit slightly behind London, but it was when a lot of Eastern Europeans started coming into the country. And I arrive at the gig, and I go into character, ask where the dressing room is and everything. And all the staff were Eastern European. I thought, oh, crikey. Anyway, there wasn't anyone actually from Romania, I don't think. And I just carried on, and they accepted me as one of them. Oh, we can do this, do that, have an extra drink, and all of that. It was really good. And so yeah, and in the end, when we moved up to Scotland, it was never a problem.
What, the Birmingham accent?
No, it's never a problem up here. And eventually I'd actually dropped that. Because, I don't know if this is a bit too heavy for a video like this, but there was a lot of racism at the time about Europeans coming to the country. So I just quietly sort of dropped it and went back to normal, which was a shame really. But yeah, it was, but it helped, it gave me the character.
Yeah.
And when I started, I just really became the character, So, and it's important to do that. You decide on your character and be it.
Yeah. I remember, obviously, because the whole cast of us would stay in our character all evening.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I think people would think that's quite difficult. But I think once you're because you can't break character, but once you're in it, actually, you can handle people within the character. Sometimes it can be easier.
Yes, it can, because you've got a barrier between the real you and the people, So this character is the barrier. And I've heard actors, famous actors, say that when they're acting, they're fine, but they're very shy people.
Yeah.
But it's not them doing the character.
Yeah.
It's the Black Hart. It wasn't Keith Hart, it was the Black Hart. So that's a good point, Natalie.
Yeah. And very much immersive theatre. If you think of people nowadays, well, they've been around for a long time, like Punch Drunk, that's what we were doing. We didn't think of it as immersive theatre, I don't think, at the time, but that is what we were doing.
Yeah, we were getting the people involved, yeah. And I'll just say this now. Gordon Astley is our butler and director. Every time I did a Black Magic Theatre show, Gordon was always waiting at the back. And it was dark, but I could see him there, and he'd be watching what I'm doing. If he couldn't hear me, he'd go like that, so I knew I had to raise my voice. If I was doing something and he the line of sight was bad, and he didn't think people could see it. He'd go like that, and I knew if I got prop, I got to lift it up. But he was a great character, really good with people. And he's very witty. And one of his
quick.
yeah, one of his best comebacks. We were at Harborne Hall. No, it was Barrow Court when he was doing Barrow Court, the corporate do. And there was a woman there who was a real pain. She was interrupting and joking and shouting and that. And she was actually annoying everybody. Mm-hmm. She was spoiling it for people. Yeah. And this one time she said something, well, Gordon was in the library, I think, and he stopped. He looked her straight in the eye and he said, "Madam, you've just missed a golden opportunity to keep your mouth shut." Everyone laughed. She shut up and the evening carried on.
I am going to just slightly, because obviously we can cut, I'm just wondering what the best way, do you want to talk a bit more about the characters again, or do you want to talk about, because the next questions are about the experience, what your experience would be for the audience, any mishaps along the way, challenging venues, so they all very much link back to hauntings.
Go on to that, yeah.
But obviously you're not necessarily keen to use the earlier stuff, so it's not sure how it would. Mm-hmm. Let me think. So the character Black Hart you created when you got into bizarre magic, and then were starting the hauntings, which your inspiration was really from Eugene Berger.
Yeah, Eugene Berger's book.
Yeah. Yeah. And you felt you needed a character, and you gathered together this kind of motley crew of characters to do the nights, which, as I said, were really immersive theatre, haunted house nights. Yeah. Where each of the, any magic used was used as an effect, as you say, rather than a trick. Yeah. What was your aim for the audience and the guests? What did you want them to experience?
Yeah, well, and I've said this many times on different things. Our primary goal was to entertain people. That at the back of your mind, it's got to be entertaining, but entertain them by giving them a sense of wonder and awe, a sense that something was happening. Call it magic, call it spirits, call it the supernatural, but just to put in the mind the thought that what is happening. Never, how did he do that, or how did they do that? It was, what happened then? Was that real? To take them back really to childhood almost, when you believed in magic and you accepted magic, and you, like, let's go Santa Claus,
Yeah.
And Christmas Eve, he's waiting for this giant red elf to come through down the chimney. But you believed it, and you're excited. Now, I'm not expecting people to believe that, but there is a sort of deep belief within us that there's something